what I get when I log in on the messenger.
You want to do live instead of pre-recorded? That's fine with me.
Well, you can do the pre-record, and then I'll just mention something because they can get a hold of me too for if they're looking for something.
Oh, so you want me to add it? You want to add a
Yeah,
live to the?
yeah, I'll
Yes,
just
that's
yeah I'll
fine
just
too.
add it afterwards.
Where are we putting the ads?
I
In the
guess
usual spots.
yeah, just before hardware.
Okay, because I've been doing the big ad in the middle of the show, right after podcast, or right before podcast housekeeping, after topics. I think it's better to put there instead of right at the top of the show.
Well, remember you got sim coaches as the primary, so they should have
Hmm.
more. And then, this one is a secondary. So we should just mention it once.
Uh,
Hardware, software.
are we going to read a sim coaches as well, or are we going to do two of those long ads?
My understanding is I thought we were doing two, one early and one later.
That was not how I understood it, because I only have one ready.
So what do you think we should do? Should we do a live one too? All right.
That'll be the first advertisement at the beginning. And I'll put the other one in the middle.
A 10-4.
Okay, I'm ready. I got a description. Yeah, go.
You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting.
At the top,
Enjoy.
like normal. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Brian McCubbin.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Hey, David Hall.
Hello, hello.
Greg Hectus. And Steve Thompson.
Hey everybody, welcome to the iRacers Lounge. Come down here and take a seat next to Mike Ellis.
All right, and Tony Groves.
Hey, fellas, what's happening?
All right, big group tonight. And we have a special guest, Mike Watts.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, welcome, Mike. Well, on today's show, we talk with special guest Mike Watts. We talk Black Friday deals. They are here. You'll get my thoughts on the new semi-cube wheelbase. And as usual, we have tons of other hardware topics. Take a load off and join us in the lounge.
Yeah, and you can follow along with us on your PC or mobile device in real time. Check out all these products and stories we'll be talking about just by visiting iRacersLounge.com and selecting the show notes. So let's see you there.
Sim Coaches offers the realistic sim racing equipment you need to win more races online. It is designed for real racers. Hydraulic construction makes them feel just like the real thing. High quality construction, 100% leak proof, and lifetime warranty are the key features with these pedals, and they look absolutely amazing. Check out simcoaches.com. Use the coupon code iRacersLounge to get 10% off the purchase. Simcoaches.com is your ticket to feel like you're actually sitting behind the wheel of the car Drive harder and stay on the limit longer. All right, let's talk to iRacer Mike Watts. Well, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Well, absolutely. So it's been a long time since we've had a guest, and we want to bring you on and get to know you a little bit. So I'm going to ask some questions. We'll start with what brought you to iRacing and how did you first hear about it?
Well, I heard about it for a long time. I was an old Papyrus NASCAR racing guy from like 1995, and I'd played it up, up until probably 2004 or so, and then I kind of switched over to console for a bit. But probably about 2017, a lot of my friends on console, they were just looking for a more invested experience, so we kind of moved over to iRacing.
Well, very good. So what kind of series are you normally running? League or official or what?
I usually run in leagues. I do some official races. It's mostly just endurance stuff with the sports cars. I really like the special events that they do, like the 24 Hours of Daytona, and uh, I wanted to run the majors, Le Mans, but I haven't done that. But when they did run Le Mans, I did that, and Spa and some of the other ones.
Yeah, I was looking at your stat page, and the one that jumped out at me was the last Daytona 24. You got a P2.
Yeah, that was that was probably my most memorable experience there. All the wins, when you can win against some of these guys that are just so talented, it makes things very fun. I mean, that's what makes iRacing fun. That's what gets you on here.
All right, very good. And then what about hardware? I mean, what are you using for your wheels, your pedals, and that kind of thing?
Um, I recently, well, for this year, I went to the CSL DD, just price point, and even with the 8 Newton meters, it feels really precise and good fidelity. And I use the V3 pedals with a performance upgrade kit on there, and an SHH shifter, which you can flip a switch and make it sequential or gated, and like 4 different button boxes.
All right, very good. What about like monitors or VR, computer?
Um, Computer, it's kind of a Frankenstein. I've built home built it with several different pieces. I recently upgraded to a 3070 Ti, just as the 3000 series are starting to go obsolete and the 4000s are coming in. But um, I'm running a AMD Ryzen 9 3900 right now, and I want to upgrade to the 5800. And really just using a 55-inch TV for my monitor, but I mainly race in VR. I went Oculus, and I've bumped up to the Quest 2, which there was some growing pains with that, but I've you know with some research, I found a way around those.
Well, very good. What about like third-party software or overlays or anything like that?
With VR, you don't really get the benefit of those. So I run a sim hub for my transducers that I have to create the vibration, and it uses iRacing telemetry to produce those hepatic vibrations and feels. That's something Steve Thompson introduced me to, and it started with a sim seat, and I kind of tore the seat apart and built the transducers into my do-it-yourself rig.
Now, I got to ask, I mean, does that feel real localized of where the transducer sits? I mean, do you really feel it in that spot on your back, or is it, you know, is it more of an encompassing feel?
It's pretty encompassing. I mean, when I broke the seat apart, I took a couple of the transducers, moved them up to the front part of my rig, so it vibrates the front part and kind of simulates the front wheels. And then I have the other transducers actually embedded into the seat. I have a Ricmotech do-it-yourself wooden rig, and so I put the transducers actually in the seat, and I can feel the vibrations. You can feel the engine, and with SimHub, you can actually simulate the RPMs and the vibration going up and down with the RPMs, the road noise, and tire slip.
You know, I Steve, you ought to tell me you're the expert on vibration, but I gotta imagine wood probably vibrates better than metal, right?
Yeah, I think it does. I don't think you get it doesn't it it accentuates the vibration rather than absorbing it.
All right. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty neat setup. So you said you bought your plans off of Ricmotech and then you just do it yourself?
Yes, sir. Yep. Probably about $240 worth of wood. I got in before the wood got, unattainable.
You feel like there's no flex? Do you feel like it's as strong as a 80/20 rig or?
Um, I'm not sure because I've never been able to compare such. But I mean, there's not really any flex in this design the way it's put together. But I like the customization about it. Being a wood rig, you can pretty much do whatever you want with it, as far as like building a shelf or um, modifying something to hold a button box. I changed the plans up quite a bit, and I've got like a Ricmotech really large button box kind of offset to the side, and it's almost like the center console of a GT car. And that has my brake bias and several switches on it, ignition switch, and almost like if you sit inside the Cup car, the new next gen Cup car, kind of like in that area is where all my switches are. So it works well for me for VR, because I know where all my switches are at, and I guess I use Dre as well, uh, just mainly for information purposes.
That's a digital racing engineer.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that's what the voice attack plugin. You got to buy that, right?
Yes, sir. And there's now a standalone version as well. On their website, they have you can download the standalone version, and it doesn't use voice attack.
I see. That's been a long time since I've heard that. A couple years. All right, let's change gears. I mean, when I was looking you up, I found trading paints, and I found a lot of them. And it looks like you're a painter, or at least you collect paint. So, tell us what I'm looking at here. A lot of classic paints, I would call it.
Well, I do. Yeah. So I enjoy racing. One thing I love about racing is just the cars. So I really love to paint cars, and I can't run all those schemes. So what I do is I paint cars for other people, or if I, get an idea in my head, I just want to put it on paper or put it on the screen, I guess. And I love the fact that iRacing allows you to kind of put that on a 3D model, and then drive it around the track. And to me, it's the coolest thing. And so it's kind of a hobby that I do when I'm not racing, is painting, and I love attention to detail. I love um, trying to make the cars look as realistic as possible. And so I do painting for other people as well. I have a little page on Facebook that I do paint jobs for, and it's like, $10 or whatever. It's more, like I said, it's more of a hobby than anything. So that's why I don't make a living from it. So it's just something I do to kind of like, I don't know, break stress, whatever. Because sometimes racing can be stressful, but the painting, not so bad.
All right, they look good, and so where do they go on Facebook if they want you to do a paint? Now, the one thing, Mike, when I looked through your trading paints list, what I saw was, like I said, some very classic paints, but then you have like the next gen version of it, and so that seems to be a specialty where you do the old car and then you have a new spin on it.
Yeah, well, I was really excited about the next gen. Maybe a little disappointed in its performance, but overall, I think they're good-looking cars, and I really love to paint them. It's provided a brand new canvas for us to work with. Um, it's I I like the old style paint jobs. I'm probably more old school on that than having a lot of lines and angles in there. Every now and then I'll throw something in there. It's kind of just different, but um, I like the classic lines and paint jobs. Because I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and I love those 90s race cars. And just uh, going to the track, and it's just like it was great to see those things. And um, I mean, if you're looking for a paint and you don't want to spend a lot of money, then I can usually put it together. I like to be able to converse with whoever's working the paint. So that's why I'm on Facebook, because you can use Messenger, but it's through Magic Mike's Paint Shop, and it's MAJIK, Magic Mike. So um, it's just like I said, something I do as a hobby, and it's so I don't charge a whole lot. Plus, I use a free paint program. I'm just using GIMP right now. So
All right, let's get back to racing. Are you part of a team or something like that, or what are you doing in the leagues? What's going on there?
um, well, on the official side, I guess I'm a part of Hutch Sport Racing. I do some endurance racing for them, and that's mainly we enter those special events, and because you gotta have somebody to help you drive. So I kind of ran into them as they were running with us with my old team, the Inglorious Bastards. That was my previous team, and then it's pretty much just that. And then I guess in OBRL, which is the league I'm in, I've got a teammate, or I've got like four other teammates that come and race with us, pretty much for like super speedways and stuff like that.
All right, nice. And then we like to end it with a question of what is your most memorable iRacing moment so far?
Well, again, the P2 at Daytona 24 hours was pretty good. I mean, we were really close to actually winning that race, and we had a little trouble with probably a slower GT3 car, and ended up having to repair some damage, and it put us behind a little bit, but it was fun, and pushing ourselves for 24 hours is just to me it's a challenge, and I love it. So I just love racing with really competent racers that have good racecraft, and it's a true measure of like your competitiveness. And even though I'm like 46 years old, I still have that competitive fire, and I like to feed it.
That's right. That's what iRacing is all about. We're still competitive, even though we're old guys. But uh, man, that sounds like fun, and I'm sure you're just chomping at the bit for the next Daytona 24. And see if you can, get one spot better, right?
Yes, sir, definitely.
All right, and then Mike, we have a new sponsor for our hardware software starting here for the off season, Metro Ford, a dealership from Chicago, I believe. And we understand that you actually purchased a car from Metro Ford. So we wanted to take a moment here at the end and ask you about that experience.
Yeah, it was a great experience because I'd been out to California, I'd seen that truck, and I'm like, what is this thing? So I had to Google it, and I looked it up, did a lot of research on the Maverick. I loved it, and then I found out, our car market, the landscape has changed completely. So the only way you can get vehicles these days are really to order them, or just happen to find one on a lot somewhere, but then they're going to charge you an arm and a leg more than what the sticker is, of course. And so I didn't know how to get a hold of one, but we have this sponsor in OBRL that was Metro Ford, and I was fortunate enough to kind of go to their website and work with Steve Thompson there to place an order for one, and he was able to get it in because they cut off the ordering. It's like the most popular truck in America right now. It's super hard to get. So I was really glad that I was able to get that done with Steve and Metro Ford, and um, yeah, I'm super stoked about getting that truck.
Now, Mike, when you people are going and buying a car nowadays, I mean, they walk into the dealer and I mean, they're getting this 6,000, 7,000 some charge on top of MSRP. So you're saying that's not happening in this situation with this particular company?
Well, yeah, that's what I understood, that if you order what you're looking for, you don't have to pay that ADM, additional dealer markup. Yeah, I sold cars back in the early 2000s, and I know how the car business is, but this whole like microchip thing and car shortage is just unbelievable. And you go and you drive past a car lot and the lots are just empty, you know? And so anything that they have on the lot, they're going to charge you an arm and leg for because they can. And what else are you going to do? You can't buy anything else, and used cars are hard to find as well. So for me to be able to get a brand new Maverick and a hybrid at that was just an awesome experience, being able to accomplish that.
And no concern that it wasn't local to you. You know, it's not your local dealership. Was there a trust issue? Obviously, you know Steve Thompson. You've raced with him. He's on the show with us. So there was some trust there. But I mean, what about the part that it's not local dealership? Oh, what if something's wrong and that kind of thing?
Well, I mean, I'll figure that out. But I don't have any distrust in Steve or Patrick. I know Patrick Milligan. I've talked with him and raced with him, so that's kind of what made all that happen. And I think Patrick has even said he would deliver the vehicle if need be. Uh, so if I gotta make a trip to or to Chicago and pick it up, I mean, I'll do that too. But um, it's gonna be a ways away. But when it's built and I pick it up, it'll be complete and I'll be excited.
Absolutely. So sounds like a great shopping experience, especially when the market is in turmoil, as you described, with the empty lots and the dealer markup and stuff. So sounds cool.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
thanks, Mike Watts, for coming on and telling us about Metro Ford and hey about your iRacing as well. And hope you do well on the Daytona and hope I'll see you out on the tracker.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, let's start talking some news, guys. It looks like Casey Curran has been crowned at Phoenix.
Yeah, be cool. He put up a bunch of pictures.
Yeah, there's a lot of tweets. He got to spend the championship weekend out there. There's a picture. Is this first tweet? The very first picture? Well, I'm holding shift, so it's not pumping up. Oh, he's got the final four actually painted on the wall, and then he's standing there.
Yeah, I mean, there's several pictures with him with Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, that kind of those kind of guys. He
It's
got a big check, of course.
yeah, well deserved experience too. I mean, that's got to be part of the fun of it. Is getting up into that big world.
He got there. I don't have it on the script, but there was a picture of him with Anthony Alfredo, who happens to be a teammate with him in the Coke series. But pretty
So,
cool. He well deserved.
yeah, the last tweet on the script is the check, and then while we're talking checks, it looks like Evan C has also got his check. Brian.
Yeah, so Evan C., who is the champion of the late models World Outlaw series, picked up his check for winning that thing. Um, it was looks like it was held at a World Outlaws event, and yeah, so it was a was it a $12,000 check for Evan for winning that series. Not too bad.
What about that
Yeah.
title? 10 races, 5 wins.
So it was like Tony's Chase a few years back, right?
When Tony Stewart won it.
And
What a
one
tear.
did not start because he was disqualified or he was suspended.
Oh, that's right.
I bet you if there was still a chance in the title, they wouldn't have suspended him. I think they just wanted to make a lesson of him, knowing he already had it locked up. That was last week. I didn't really get to chime in on that. I don't think.
Was that the last race he was suspended?
Yeah, he had already locked up points championship before the race started.
All right, this next one, this was an entertaining video, and I almost agree with almost every choice on here, and I've only bought two of the five things he listed. The question is, what are the worst iRacing purchases in iRacing? And we got a video. I forgot the author's name. The channel is DJ Yej. Yeah, and he just lists off five purchases he kind of regrets, from Mount Washington to the W12 F1 car, Martinsville iRacing Speedway, and the Jet car. And a couple of them, his reasons were simply because he doesn't want to be a road racer. So that, I bet you, if somebody's an F1 fan, they probably like that W12.
I think some of the reason too was it was like a fad. Like the thing with the Mount Washington. When it came out, I mean, we talked about it on the show for like 6 or 7 weeks in a row because I was running it on a regular basis. And then when I stopped running it, it was like, that's it. I'll never touch it again. And so that's what he described is that, there was a fat, everyone ran it at the beginning, and the Delara IR01 jet car, as I call it, same thing. When it first came out, week 13, there was a lot of interest. People bought it, but then it slowly faded, or quickly faded after that, actually.
Yeah, his rationale on iRacing Super Speedway was that it's not really ever included in the official series except during real NASCAR's off season, because the A, B, and C tracks are generally try to follow the real life schedule.
Like you said too, he
And
didn't
Martinsville.
enjoy super speedways much either. And I didn't really agree with Martinsville, but I mean that's a great track.
Now, wait a
It's a
minute,
great
Steve.
track
Didn't
that
you
nobody can
skip
drive.
Martinsville this time?
No, I had 38 laps of cautions with no green flags, but I enjoyed just going around there caution after caution.
Well, that's exactly his point. Is that Martinsville just always turns into a wreck fest because nobody will settle down, let it settle down, and race a little bit clean. Uh, I love racing there when it goes well. I got one of my first wins there, but again, it's just caution fest, caution fest, caution fest. I got a top 10 that week on Wednesday and didn't touch the track again the whole weekend.
And I have to agree with him on the Formula One car because I bought it just because I wanted to try it. But am I racing it? Heck no, I'm not good enough. And if I enter one of those F1 races, I'm gonna end up dead last probably.
Well, he did admit he's primarily an oval driver and doesn't like the road race and doesn't even have a Class A license anyway, so he can't really drive that car, and it's not going to be his purchase. If you're a road person, especially if you love open wheel, it's probably a good purchase. So it's obviously a bad purchase for somebody who's primarily an oval guy.
Good point.
Well, Steve,
Any
have you
others
go
that
ahead?
he left off the list that we shouldn't that were don't buy these?
You know, I would say I would really just try to advise anybody as you're working up the ladder, just buy what you need. I know they like to try to buy things in bulk so they can get that percentage, and I don't have to worry about that anymore because I'm in that automatic range. Whatever is it? What is it? 30 club or 40 club?
40.
Once you have so many pieces, um, but I would just when you set up for a season, just buy the car and track this that you're going to run for about 12 weeks. Then if you don't like it, at least you got 12 weeks out of it.
Yeah, he had a good point there when he said buy within your class, because he said he'll probably never become a driver and be able to drive that F1 car in official races.
Yeah, I still think the Formula One car suffers a little bit from the lack of diversity in the manufacturers. I still think,
And the way they're painted.
yeah, I think it would do a lot better if you're right, if there wasn't all the painting restrictions and the limit of the amount of manufacturers. I think the Formula car would be a little bit more, uh, would be more popular.
Well, when we get the new F1 car, because they're going to have the next version of it, then this version is really going to not be used.
Do you think that was a demise of Mercedes this year? Is because they posted their car on here?
I want Red Bull next. Let's get the Red Bull.
Let's not start the iRacing curse myth. Was it NFL, Madden NFL that was always a curse if you were on their cover?
Yeah.
Surely Max Verstappen can, pull a few strings to get us a scan.
Can
I don't know, I think I use Mount Washington a lot. Sometimes I just use it to test out my computer performance because with the way the trees are drawn and how the track is designed, it's one of the tracks that really hog up my system resources the most. So I'll use it just to see how well my computer's running.
It's a good point, Brian. I actually ran uh, Mount Washington myself this week, testing my new wheel to make sure it was dialed in and trying different things and different strengths. And yeah, I find it as a good test track as well.
All right. Well, we know Thanksgiving's coming up, and so what does that mean? It's Black Friday time. iRacing has got its same offer that it usually puts up: 50% off for new memberships, 25% off for renewing if you renew for a year or two.
So I renewed. I needed to renew. I think I was up December, early December. And I usually do 2 years, but man, I just spent about that wheel. So I only did one this time, which is rare for me because I always do two. But I did one. Hey, and took that 25% off. I'll take it.
Yeah, combined with all the iRacing bucks that I had compiled over the year for racing for running certain series or prize money, I didn't really even have to spend that much.
Yeah, and that sale actually goes through December 1st. So the Black Friday is actually on, I think, the 25th, technically. But you have a few extra days after that to get that purchase in. Wasn't
So
there
the
something weird
one,
about that last year where if you let your membership expire, I can't. I'm trying to remember. There was some kind of weird situation if your membership expired and then you started it back up. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
I think they had a deal for returning members. They had a different sale for returning members that had expired.
Yeah, maybe
so
that
I
was
did
it.
the math. The 1 year deal equals 688 a month is how much you end up paying.
I used to like when they did the I used to like when they did the special in, what was it, July, where you could get like $100 for $75 and carry that over till the sale, but they don't do that any longer.
Yeah, we figured that out real quick, didn't we?
Yeah.
So then you'd buy the iRacing dollars for the deal on Black Friday. It was really maximize your value. So 622 a month if you do the 2 year renewal. So that's the cheapest monthly rate you can get for iRacing is you buy it during this deal for Black Friday. You pay that down as low as 622 a month.
And don't forget, like they used to have that summer sale a few years back as well. So this is like the only time that you get a deal throughout the year for renewing.
And you don't have to be expiring to do this deal. Like if you have a year or more left or whatever, or months, you still do the deal. You don't lose any time. It tacks a year or two on top of what you have left.
And if you want to start a second account, now's a good time too, at 50% off.
Good point. There's codes on the website. The codes are, the website is iRacing.com/Black Friday, where you can get the codes.
All right, well, let's talk Ray Alfella. He's going real life racing. What do you think about this, Brian?
Yeah, so it's actually Rayo Fallow, obviously the it's a three-time series Coke Series champion. Um, he's going real life limited late model racing. He's going to make his debut at Hickory Speedway this weekend for the brawl in the fall. Um, so uh, so he's getting ready to hop into the real thing, see how his skills transfer over. Hickory's in North Carolina, I believe, and he's a Florida guy, so he's traveling quite a ways to that racetrack. Um, Good for him, man. I'm really be interested to see how well he does because he definitely has shown he's got really good skills on the sim.
That's awesome. I mean, he shows his sponsorship on the graphic. Appears to be iRacing, VRS, Virtual Racing School, and Interstate Batteries.
Which is cool because that's kind of like a Coke crossover because Interstate Batteries is not his sponsor; it's a sponsor for Bobby Zelensky, who's one of his teammates, right?
Right. But yeah, neat opportunity. I don't know what team it is specifically. I would guess it's Landon Huffman. Landon Huffman, I believe, gave him the ride earlier in the year when he did a test in the limited late model, and now here he is in a big race.
He's also keeping his Coke number too. The number 51 is his number in the Coke series.
Yeah, I hope he does good there. He had a horrible race the other night trying to stay in the Coke series. He had to race in the Xfinity series. So yeah, I think he was 26th.
Yeah, he didn't have a good finish, and man, he's got a hole to dig out of now.
Yeah, he's had terrible luck this year.
Now I'm gonna jump in. Terrible luck. Uh, David, I put this one on the script for you. It's called iRacing is not good for my relationship.
Well, why did you put that for me? I'm not in a relationship. I don't have a
That's
problem there.
is that why?
That's
No,
the
it's actually because I follow Natalie Decker and actually got to interview her boyfriend a few months ago. And yeah, it's interesting talking to them because Derek really loves the competitive side of iRacing, and that's Natalie's real life job. So she actually doesn't like doing that at home so much, and she doesn't feel like it feels quite the same as her car. So she prefers to just do hosted races and stuff like that. And I guess they were racing together at some point and got into some kind of argument because she threw up a tweet saying it's not good for her relationship and they fight every time they race together.
And what are the other iRacing couples out there doing with some advice?
Well,
Made me think of Tony Gross.
as I was going to say, Tony, he can't really get his girl to competitively race much anymore either. He might.
Nope. She's thrown in the towel. iRacing is just a little too much for her.
Now, later down in the replies, Natalie says, no, he was my spotter/crew chief. It was not a good communicator to me. So, like what any angry girlfriend would do, I did. I yelled at him until we both quit.
Yeah, she has another tweet in there somewhere that says that's probably my first rage quit ever. Half the time when I jump on her screen, she's playing some other video game, and I don't particularly enjoy watching those, like first person shooters or stuff like that. So she's got a real good following. I prefer to watch when they're racing, or I'll catch Derek because he's actually running a B Open or something like that, instead of a random hosted race where they just decide when they want to throw cautions.
Has your wife ever said, Mike, you're a good communicator?
Podcast housekeeping. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find the podcast. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We do appreciate it. Check us out on Discord and our website, iRacersLounge.com. We're in regular rotation at the Performance Motorsports Network and the Sim Racing channel on Roku TV. Fantasy.
Well, there we have it. Another year in the books. Heck of a season. Ton of people showed up this time around. Like our numbers were awesome. I think we were up over 60 people joined us this year, which obviously is definitely the biggest, but um, big fight near the end. And I guess I should just stop chewing the fat and congratulate our overall league winner, um, and that's Louder Racing. He he took the checker, um, and not by a whole lot either. Scotty Boy was pretty hot on his tails. Actually, the top three, Scotty Boy and Ray J, they were all within just a little over 100 points of each other, or sorry, just within just a little over 100 points of the leader. Uh, Great fight. Lots of movement all year round. Um, Basically, everybody showed up. Team Tifosi, because we none of us did very good at all, but um, it was a heck of a lot of fun.
It was. Yeah, Steve Louder is our winner. And yeah, the highest Tifosi guy was Greg, I believe, in 13th.
And what happened to him? Because wasn't he leading at one point?
Yeah, he was right there. I mean, within striking distance, and then it all went downhill.
Hey, that was a super tough year. So much, I mean, we've had unknowns in the past. Like last year, there's a lot of unknowns. I think the year before was a bunch of unknowns as well. But um, this year, more specific, everything kind of worked. At least for me, anyways. Like it didn't work out any way that I thought it was going to. Um, I was expecting to see um, some kind of like them kind of settle themselves down, or kind of be able to figure things out from a spectator standpoint. Um, and I I just never did. Um, maybe once we got just within striking distance of the regular season ending, I started to kind of, oh yeah, okay, now I'm starting to kind of figure it out. But up to that point, it was just kind of throwing darts uh, at a wall blindfolded and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not too proud of my effort during the fantasy. I think I ended up 35th overall, but out of 60-ish, yeah, I guess that top half maybe. Yeah, I
Well,
had
you
the
also,
Kurt Busch in the car for a while, and that messed me up.
yeah, these ones here work a lot better if you change up your lineup on a weekly basis.
All right, well, off season for fantasy, we're gonna do it again, starting the Daytona 500. And I guess Tony, we just want to gear everybody up and try to let's double that 60. Let's get 120.
Yeah, let's shoot for it. We ought to start putting this up on up on the social medias and start pushing it now. Get everybody excited again for next year. Um, might have a little bit more of a fight from us Tifosi guys once we and now that we got a year of this new car under our belt, we might have a little bit of a chance to get a little higher up in the rankings and not suck so bad. But yeah, thanks for everybody that came out, joined up, had some fun with us. Uh, Huge congratulations to Louder Racing for taking the whole thing home. Scotty Boy, Ray J, Res Dog, our last year's champion, managed to wiggle his way into the top five. I know he was struggling there for a little bit, and D Train 89 rounded out our top five overall. Um, yeah, a lot of fun, guys. It's kind of fun talking, week in, week out. Even those weeks where I don't make it here to the chat, Brian does a great job running this down and keeping this keeping this whole fantasy thing going.
All right, I'm going to cut this little bit out. Steve, you're wanting to put a little chime in after the ad, right? Because I'm going to drop the ad here. So put your thing in, and I'll drop the ad in before it, and then I'll lead into hardware.
Okay. Um, I want to thank Metro Ford of Chicago for their new sponsorship for the hardware software part of iRacers Lounge. Metro Ford of Chicago's family owned dealership that's been providing great customer service for over 3 decades. And the owner of Patrick Milligan is an avid iRacing member and driver. If you're looking for a new Ford or any make, any model used vehicle, you can give Metro Ford a call, or you can give me a call too. Steve Thompson at 505-358-0212. And you can go to the website also and see what inventory we have in stock at emetroford.com. We have a great inventory of used vehicles, and if you're looking for something not in the inventory, you can give me a call, and I can see if I can find it for you. Prices are starting to come down now on the used vehicles. Inventory is starting to go up. Just mention iRacers Lounge and you'll get free shipping to your home or workplace in the continental USA with any vehicle purchased new or used. Also, right now there's a 0.99% financing on selected certified pre-owned vehicles for 36 months. With the interest rates going up, you're not going to find a better deal than that. So you can find us at emetroford.com and check it out. And we're thanking Patrick Milligan for sponsoring iRacers Lounge.
All right, and we're going to celebrate that new sponsorship. Kicking off the first article, we have a mega thread posted by Mike DeBrownie. Posted in the forum, it has links to a ton of the third-party apps that most iRacing use, and these are very handy. You have a place, literally one place, and I hope it's already been stickied, that has just about every link that we could think of to go to.
Great reminder of all the different third-party stuff available. I mean, uh, three different spotter add-ons. Excuse me, six different spotter add-ons, including DRE, which we were just talking about with Mike Watts. Uh, Force feedback links, overlay links to do overlays, fuel calculators, dashboard software, broadcasting tools and overlays, telemetry tools. I mean, it goes on and on. Setup tools, painting tools, iRacing manager add-ons and tools. So you could never run all of these. I guess I'll throw out to the group, how do you guys decide what to run and what not to run?
It's kind of evolved on needs. I particularly like the JRT stuff because it works inside my VR, right? And his dashboard is just beyond everything I need. I have a super busy dashboard, but I'm also not looking at it when I'm actually looking in the window, right? It's just kind of more off of my peripheral. Uh, and then I use his relative as well because it's really easy to keep track of the good guys and the bad guys, so to speak. So those utilities come in really good. I use sim racing apps now only for the countdown. I used to use it on my stream, but I quit streaming. Uh, that's what narrows those two down. And I use Crew Chief basically because he tells me where wrecks are happening before I even see the yellow.
Yeah, I think that's it. You try stuff, you see what works. You keep certain things and you get rid of others, and you end up with a good, blend of stuff. I use Crew Chief. I use JRT, Joel Real Timing, Sim Racing Apps, Sim Hub, and TeamSpeak.
Yeah, I use DRE, Digital Race Engineer. It works really well. I've used it for years, so I've kind of memorized a lot of the commands. So I trying to change be hard. Plus, he's got the new program too, where you don't need the add-on to it. And I also use SimHub. So yeah, it's a great list. Nice to have all this in one spot that you can go check it out.
Yeah, I pretty much stick with Crew Chief for my spotting and to be able to make changes at the in pit stops and hear the countdown, stuff like that. It's really Crew Chief is really good for that. Although I do notice Crew Chief has a lot of issues with getting your position on the track wrong. It'll tell you you're in P7 and you're actually in P3 or something like that.
I can tell you
I
what
don't
that
know.
is.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave. Curious.
It's based on the number of cars you have available in your graphics settings. If you have a less set number of cars that it's tracking their position on, it will get confused as to what position you're in because it can't see the cars on the track through the API because the API is not it's not sending that data to them.
That's why you always put your max cars at 63 to accommodate those
Okay,
third-party apps.
But
that's
that
good.
can't
I'll check that out.
affect your performance. That before I when I got the HP reverb on the older system, I had to put that number back down to usually 40 or 30 because even though the cars weren't being rendered, it was just too much demand just getting the information of where they were on the track. So, but yeah, that's what's causing crew chief. If you don't have, if you can't see every car on the track, crew chief will report your position wrong, you'll also notice when you do that same thing. If you have it turned down to like 20 cars, any of the cars that are not getting fed to your machine, you can't see their replay either. They just disappear from your replay.
Okay, that's a good point. I'll definitely check that out. But it won't make a graphic difference. Depend if you put in 63 as your max cars and you're only in a 20 car field race, it's going to just play it out like a 20 car field race, right? Because it's only rendering those 20 cars. It doesn't matter that you have
Yeah,
your settings set all the way up to 63. Okay, all
but
right, that's cool.
you jump into a 50 card multi-class field, and I noticed it before I got all the upgrades.
Okay, good point. I'll check that out. I didn't know that. So yeah, so that's pretty much the only one I use for what I'm writing. Um, other than the ones that like the Sim Hub and stuff like that that run some of my peripherals. Um, I just don't. I don't rely on and I probably should rely on those programs that give you a lot of telemetry and data like that. For me, I just don't have time to really go deep into all those kind of numbers and put enough time in practicing where I can really start making adjustments. It's probably why I suck, but it's a matter of time more than anything. Um,
Well, with your
but
VR, I can't recommend it enough using the JRT visual spotter. If you don't do anything else, just pop that sucker right on your windshield, and you basically have a radar. It's not just telling you if a car's there. You can see if you're gaining on him or he's gaining on you. Um, it's a box, and it just moves an arrow up and down that box. And when the arrow gets to the corner, you're clear.
Yeah.
okay,
I use the visual spotter it's part of Joel Real Timing. Um, you have to pay, I think it's $10 or something, but it's worth it.
and then you just use a Steam overlay for that, don't you, Dave?
Um, Yeah, I'm in Steam VR, and I just you know you you get there's a process that you go through to just pop it out on the screen, and then it's transparent, and you can see right through it on your windshield.
Um, one thing that's not on this list that I also use is iRacing Assistant. And that's what I start. When the computer turns on, I start with iRacing Assistant. It gives you one button. You push it, and then it launches all your third-party apps for you. And so you don't have, because before iRacing Assistant, you're going and launching Crew Chief, you're launching this, you're launching this, you're launching that. So this is a neat tool that lets you just do it all at once.
I get around that too by just all my things that I always relaunch whenever I jump in iRacing. I have them pinned to the taskbar, so I just go click, 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 click. It kind of almost accomplishes the same thing.
Yep.
All right, well, let's jump into some hardware reviews. The first thing we have is a Logitech G Pro Racing Wheel review. And he says, quote, this is a surprise, but he says, quote, the best force feedback I've ever had. Have you checked this one out, Brian?
I watched a little bit of this video. So yeah, he was actually praising this Logitech pretty well. He kind of phrased it as it's a excellent entry level high end system. So it's kind of a mixing of terms, but it kind of makes sense if you think about it. It's when you start getting to these direct drive wheels, you're really starting to move into the high end market. But this is on the entry level side of that high end market. Now, I don't know. I didn't hear anything in the video about other wheels he's tried, so I don't know what the best
Yeah.
wheel he's tried is compared to. So
He
that could
said
be a little that could throw it off a little. But yeah, go ahead, Dave.
he said he had 14 different bases. He's basically tried them all.
Yeah,
Wow.
he said the AccuForce is his favorite, and he liked the fidelity of and the feedback from this well even better. And I also listened. I think it's down a little bit lower. Maybe it's not even on this page today. Is Boosted Media, and he had the same thing to say about this wheel too. They're really impressed. They're just they're just disappointed that it's plastic wheel and the angle, like Mike was talking about, the angle of the wheel sticking up. Um, but I don't know. It's pretty interesting. It'll be interesting to see if they come out with another design and make maybe a metal housing or aluminum housing or something with it.
Yeah, you can't side mount it. You can only top mount it. And he was mentioning that like if you, the angle is good for desk mounting. It's not good for rig mounting. And he mentioned that if you get a deck mount or if you get a desk mount for say the SimuCube, it's actually takes that into consideration, and it points the SimuCube up a little bit more. That was one of the downers, and he mentioned yeah, you already mentioned the plastic thing. He also mentioned no other wheels available yet, so he's hoping though that that'll get taken care of within the next 6 months or a year.
Yeah. Like you said, this is the second or third time we've seen a review where they say how good it feels when you're just driving it, when you ignore what it looks like and you just feel it. There's something to it, and so they have that patented true force, whatever that is. Maybe that's what they're liking is, maybe Logitech has got something proprietary in this thing that the other bases don't have.
Yeah, and another thing they have going for them is the heck of a long history of making wheels. Um, they've been doing this for a really long time, ever since the earliest of models. So, I mean, maybe that has something to do with how they've got this thing figured out. I guess to where they're getting some really good feedback and really good fidelity out of it.
I did get many years out of that G27 before it finally started wearing out.
The guy from Boosted Media, he was talking about the stops, and you can actually use the software to you can put the stops on it at 570 or whatever you want. It's limited to 1080, but we were talking about that before, Mike, and he said the reason that the stops are at 1080 which you can put them wherever you want, below 1080, is the wires actually go through the motor. So that's the reason why they have the stops on there.
So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people that like how it feels, but for $1,000, man, it's you know, I don't know. I'd like to try it.
Yeah, there's another review later that we'll listen to about your wheel or about your wheelbase. So that's really interesting. Um, it would be neat if you could try this and compare it to your new base.
What a conflict of design and style though between the two. Mine is this is massively heavy condensed metal into smallest package possible, And then you got this thing and this guy in this video, he does a great job describing the design of it. It's like somebody has gone and literally designed the base to make it look like something. Like it starts wide on the top side and it narrows as it goes to the back. And it has, like lines to it that like a car does. And it's not there for function, it's there for design. Like the top of that thing doesn't need to be so wide, is what he was saying, but it is.
Well, the other thing that wheel has too is it's got LCD screen in it too, so you can actually do the setup on the fly, which was interesting.
And it does have separate configurations in the force feedback for different software as well.
Yep, it sure does. Yeah, have you seen this wheel, Mike Watts?
I've seen pictures of it, but I haven't seen any reviews on it. I'm still paying for this Fanatec wheel. It does look pretty cool, though. I'd have to say. I know Logitech was kind of lagging behind on the DD market, so it's pretty cool.
All right. Well, next up we have the Six Sigma Sim Racing 6S 160. Steve, how do you like this one?
Yeah, it looks like a nice rig. I watched the video. I mean, it seems like it's pretty much the same as most of the 160 series. That's not going to have any flex or movement to it. His review was good on it as far as strength. The only thing he was disappointed about was their seat had a lot of flex in it. You could see him when he was driving the actual seat flexing back. But what something that was interesting with this seat was you can buy it pre-assembled for not like another $100. You get the whole base assembled, so that could save you some time. And right now they've got it on sale for Black Friday. They've got 35% off, so it's like $650, which actually that's a really good deal for a 160 series rig.
Yeah, that is.
Normally 1,000, and I thought it was a pretty good deal at 1,000, but with the Black Friday deal, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, that is a very attractive. I mean, it's the kind of like a SimLab clone. I mean, it's similar.
Yeah, you really can't. I mean, can't do much difference with the 2040 stuff, anyways. I don't think.
It just ends up coming down to the quality of the metal, right? And uh, this is black anodized, which I still kind of wish I had gotten, but they didn't have them in stock back then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
and
you're getting everything during the pandemic too, weren't you?
No, this is even before, but it was still a longer wait time from Germany back then.
yeah, and they have all the different wheel deck options, guys. The front mount, uh, for semi-cube and so forth, bottom mount for standard other bases, but also Fanatec podium or CSL DD specific mounts as well.
I
And
like
the
how he
mount
just
looks very much like the SimLab mounts that I have. Yeah.
Sam, I like how he does his strength tests on this thing. He literally starts climbing on the thing, walking around the different parts of it to make sure it holds his weight. It's a first time I've seen somebody start doing treating these things like a jungle gym.
Yeah, that was a little different, wasn't it? For a minute, I thought he was going to stand on his steering wheel and, and try to throw some weight on it.
Well, another piece of equipment that you can really stand on is a nice pair of Sim Coach's hydraulic pedals, right? And that's our next item, as a matter of fact. And it's another video from Lawrence, and this is basically why hydraulic. And it's kind of sort of the same thing I say. You can have such a hard compressible surface on there that you get this muscle memory just by feel, because you're not, and you always are pushing. You never have to worry about pulling your leg up. I used to get a real sore knee after a long road race on the V3s, because I would have to lift on my leg to find somewhere in the middle of the braking zone. Whereas this, I can always just push the amount I need. And he kind of talks about that in this video. And so it's just another great promotional video on the YouTube channel. He's looking for all the likes he can get just to keep it up on the YouTube algorithm.
What I found interesting was, I've got HPP hydraulic pedals, and of course they're no longer, well, they sold, but I don't know, the company at bottom's not doing anything with it. But I've got on mine, it has the rubber um, stops on it. And when he was talking about the washers on these, the Belleville coned washers, I thought that was really interesting. And actually, I spent part of my day looking for those. I'm going to see if I can get some of those. Might help my pedals pedal out, because I don't know. I don't like those plastic inserts.
Does it still have too much travel for you?
Um, no, it's just kind of like I can never really. It depends. I can't really ever get it to where the cars, like at Phoenix, the car wanted to slide a little bit, so I've got to make an adjustment with my foot with it, rather than being able to trust that brake to go all the way down and the tires not skate on me. So I don't know. I think this might make a difference on the actual feel of it, so it won't be so kind of mushy, rubbery feeling. Because I've changed. I've got different colors. I put those in, but I've never really been happy with it. So if that doesn't work, I may end up buying a set of these pedals, or I may wait. Probably wait and see what the other pedals from SimuCube end up being, but I don't know yet.
This is a great video to get a deep look at the P1X. Excuse me. What are the name of the pedals? The model name? David, what does he
I
call them?
They're just the Sim Coach hydraulic brakes.
Oh, the
I don't think
SimCoach
they have a model.
hydraulics.
I don't think they have a model. They've got the load cells now and the hydraulics.
Yeah, and he talked a bit about the differences between inverted versus standard and why you might want to go with one or over the other.
Yeah, because are yours inverted, David?
Nope, I've just always had them on the ground, and I prefer it that way.
And you don't
The
have any trouble with your knees or anything, like he was talking about going inverted.
Nope, but they are uninverted. They are so high that they might as well be inverted. I mean, it just feels like I'm actually in a car either way. Uh, Especially the brake hardly travels at all, right? So it 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 almost doesn't matter if they're inverted or not, because there's so little travel. It's all pressure. While we're talking pedals, the next thing we've got is another review, Mike.
Yeah, I got this one, the Venom Atrex and Black Widow sim racing pedals. And when the Venoms came out initially, they have a real unique look to them where the uprights of the pedals are kind of angled off to to the left or to the right, and they give this very drastic look to them. But anyway, they're from France, somewhere in the country of France is where they're from. Boosted Media, Will Ford over in the Australia, has done a review of not only their regular version, the A-Trax, but the Black Widows, which is a carbon fiber version of the same pedals. And it was an interesting review because Will, normally he's very careful about not saying, bad things about companies and their product, or how does he say it in a polite way? And so after watching the video, I mean, this is the consensus I came up with. He said driving experience was good, but there are concerns about reliability. This really feels like a first generation product. There are some build issues and sharp edges.
Yeah, he on the aluminum pedals, he had to get a replacement pedal for the gas pedal, for the accelerator pedal, because the spring was coming out of it. It would pop forward and the spring would pop out. So they sent him another pedal. And the only problem with it was it had a really short throw on the replacement gas pedal. So that was a concern, and he was also having, I think it was an issue with the brake pedal too, with the spring coming out of it. But he definitely liked the aluminum pedals compared to the carbon fiber, because the carbon fiber had so much flex in them. You could really see it just when he had them on his desk and he was pushing on them, the flex that was in actually the pedal and the pedal arm. And the fit with the carbon fiber that goes over the pedals was really cheap and flimsy. And the carbon fiber was way more expensive too. I think they were like $1,650 or $1,564 for the carbon fiber with all the stuff you could buy for it. So
Yeah, I got the impression it was a don't buy this kind of video.
yeah, I got that too, especially when he compared them to the other pedal sets that are load cells that he's been testing. So yeah, definitely stay away from at this point. Maybe the second generation will be a better pedal.
Yeah, called the Venom. Yeah, he was comparing to the Heiskenveld Sprint, Heiskenveld Ultimate, um, and drastic, differences basically between the two.
Yeah, you could tell just in the build quality. I mean, the Huskenvelds, I mean, you can tell they're really high quality. Just the parts on these seemed a little cheap for the price. They look like, more of a $400 or $500 pedal set, maybe. I don't know.
Next up, we have some wheels. The F Core is coming. It's a tweet from Cube Controls, and they are about to close a circle on a brand new entry level Formula wheel that will compete with the collection so that everybody can have access to the Cube Controls experience. And that's about all you can tell. You're looking at the rear view shot of half of a Formula style wheel.
Okay, so they have the F Pro, which is what I have, and then they came out recently with I forget the name of it, but the F Pro with the screen on it, right? And now they have this one, the entry level F Core. So I guess that means it's a cheaper version of what these other two wheels are, is the way I read that. So these wheels, I ended up spending, well, 1,200 basically, 1,300 with that. Um, and I think the one with screens like 200 more. So what do you think the price point would be if they call it entry level? It's got to be under 1,000, right?
Well, you can get the podium wheel for 500. So if they're trying to get down to entry level, 1,000 is way too high.
Good point. What do you think, Brian? What price point do you think Cube Controls is reaching for here?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Dave. $1,000 is not entry level for any wheel I've ever seen. So I think it would definitely, if they can be comparative to the Fanatec wheels, the entry level Fanatec formula style wheel. I think that's where you want to be really consider yourself an entry level. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be really good quality no matter what, just because Cube Controls makes really good products. But um, to keep it really competitive with some of the wheels like that, Fanatec, um, I think around $500 or $600 would probably be the most I would hope they would go for.
A lot of corners to get that price down that much. I mean, I'm trying to think of what my wheel has and what they would get rid of to get the price down. I mean, it's going to be interesting. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm a huge fan of Cube Controls. Uh, I think they're from Italy.
And
Well,
is
then
this? Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say then, it is if it is coming in around $1,000, I wouldn't consider it an entry level Formula wheel. Maybe an entry level Cube Controls wheel, but not an entry level Formula wheel.
Good point. Maybe it's entry level to from their point of view.
Okay, so this next one is not Cube Controls, right? And so this is not the wheel you were talking about, Mike, but it is out from SimuCube, and it's the Formula Pro Elite, and it's a pretty looking wheel for sure. It's another Formula style wheel.
This is Gomez in partnership with
Ah,
SimuCube. So Gomez is making it.
That's really interesting. Like,
Yeah, it's their normal Gomez wheel with the monitor on it, but the back of it is all set up for SimuCube. It's got natively built in a SimuCube QR quick release built right into the back of it. Um, it's got the SimuCube, logo and whatnot across the top and the back, and it's got that same kind of color scheme, that SimuCube is known for.
so that's coming in at $1,500. It's got the really nice LED screen, very pretty. It's excellent. It's a really nice looking wheel.
it has paddle shifters and paddle clutch.
I tell you what, I had some regret when I saw this. I was like, man, because if I had known I was going to end up with a SimuCube base, and I was going to have a Formula wheel, and I knew this was coming, man, I want to get one of these. Now they're limited. It's a limited edition run. They said they're only going to make 250.
You better put your order in, Mike.
I don't need two Formula wheels. Don't get me going.
So what does the regular Gomez wheels have for their connections? Is it just the bolt pattern?
I'm not sure. I think they just have like on the Cube controls, they just have a round standoff, mounted to the back of it where you can mount whatever you want to it. So I think they have something similar.
But these are kind of the SimuCube colors too, aren't they? The black and the orange.
Yeah, the black and the orange is their traditional look. Yeah, that's what I was mentioning. I love it. I mean, yeah. Merry Christmas. If I was rich, I would be ordering this for sure.
All right, Steve. Looks like we've got something called the iRacing Setup Differ.
The companion tool.
Yeah, or comparison actually.
Or comparison tool. Yeah, I looked this up or differ. Yeah, setup differ. Yeah, I looked at this. It's kind of neat. It looks like, so especially since I'm starting to run open setups now, I might get this and try it out. So you can upload different setups, open setups, and it'll tell you what the difference is between them. I think it's a pretty cool tool.
Now, do you use a stent analyzer?
Yep, I sure do.
It's got the same feature.
Oh, okay. Never
But
mind then.
if you don't want to use Stand Analyzer, you can use this one. But yeah, in fact, when was it Phoenix? Yeah, a new setup came up, and it had the exact same adjustment that I had made on the previous setup. I was like, oh, okay, I know I'm doing the right thing.
Actually, I don't know how to use that. I'll have to ask you about that because I use Stint Analyzer all the time.
Yeah, that's mainly what I use it for, is seeing the difference in the sets, and also just seeing what my 20 what a change does on a 20 and 30 lap average.
So does that cost money, Stint Analyzer?
No,
Okay.
and he has our logo built into the app as well.
Well, isn't that nice?
Hey, sure
All right. Well,
does.
this tool is on a website, svappslab.com/iRacing/setup differ, and it looks pretty cool when from the screenshot. It just basically has three columns: setup number one, setup number two, and the third column, the difference. And so, like an example at the top is brake bias. Setup one shows 55%. Setup two shows 54. So then it shows a difference of -1. So kind of easy to visually, at a glance see, like David said, what's been changed.
All right, we got a wall of text on the next article that we're not going to read, but Podium F1 is running a special deal at a reduced price for a limited time. That's pretty much similar to the wheel that I have, except it's got some blue coloring to it instead of the black coloring on mine. I haven't found the price yet. What are we running at here?
Well, on their website, they're showing it 12.99.95 is the sale price. Originally 17.99.
Okay, so that actually includes the whole base as well.
Yeah, you get the base
Correct.
and the wheel and the hub.
And is that with the DD1 or is that with the
Yeah,
CSL? Okay, that's a
DD1.
good deal. It's a real good.
That's not a bad deal. Yeah.
It looks like they have including a light version of our CSL series also.
Yeah, there's a wall of text here, David, because I wanted to read some of this because there's some news for sure. Fanatec news. The QR2. Um, so they wrote a blog and they talked about some of these items. Now, if you're in Fanatec, you've been waiting for the new quick release for a long time. And here's what they said as far as an update. While we and BMW are satisfied with our QR design currently being used on the M4 GT3 race car, it has been a challenge to bring it to mass production for a full range of steering wheels and wheelbases, including a light version for the CSL series. This extended development time has ensured the best possible future for the Fanatec quick release. The latest pre-production samples are performing great, but we will only provide release dates and pricing when we are ready. So more delay, more delay. Now, wheel-based production was another item. Many of you noticed that we've been sold out on some of our wheelbases for some time. Demand has been very high and our production has been stalled by component shortages. We will continue to work hard to address this bottleneck, but the effect on the semi of the semiconductor crisis continues to be felt across the industry. I can confirm that the CSL DD will not be available again until Q1 of 2023. So meanwhile, Moza has bases for sale now, while Fanatec is sold out. And I guess they're going back and selling these DD1s that they have for Black Friday, but you can't order anything else from them. It's all sold out.
That
And then finally,
CSL, sorry, that CSL DD from Fanatec is just at a really, really good price point. That's why it's so hard to find.
That's one you have, right, Mike?
Yes, sir. Even
Wh-
even if you bump it up and do the boosted 8 Newton meters, I think it's still like just $500.
Which wheel do you run, Mike?
I run the CSL DD base, and then I have a Fanatec emulator that I run a 13.5 inch wheel on. So it's the emulator. You have to run a Fanatec wheel on the base in order for it to even give you force feedback. So you can get an emulator for about $100 if you Google it, and then you can mount any type of wheel that you want for like oval track. You know, I like a big wheel, like 13.5 inches. But I like also I have like 2 Formula wheels and a GT wheel. So Fanatec has a lot to choose from, and any other wheels pretty much work on any base.
One more tidbit here from the blog. Man, am I glad I didn't wait for that Bentley wheel like I was planning on. Because they said, as far as the Bentley wheel, the development of this wheel has also been affected by the chip shortage. Although this product was already used very effectively in Pikes Peak Hill Climb and its mechanical and structural design is well proven, we were unsatisfied with the performance of the display, and we have used the extra time to completely re-engineer the electronics. We now plan to launch the wheel in the first half of 2023. Man, I'm glad I didn't wait for that.
And so I guess they're effectively cutting the price in the last paragraph because they've been able to get a hold of enough podium ones, and since everything else is not available, they're cutting the price. But it's also Black Friday, so it's time to cut prices anyway. But that is a good deal.
And the final Fanatec piece of information this week is they announced the CSL steering wheel P1 is now a V2 version and up to date with other steering wheels in terms of refinements. It stands at the lowest price steering wheel we offer at $119.95 and is available now. This is a round wheel, built-in buttons on it, a little LED display at the top of the rim.
It's actually got a really good layout.
It's not too bad. I mean, if you're looking to get an oval wheel, price is right. Now I replied to them on Twitter when they put that out. I said, "Is this going to be with the new quick release or the old one that has the wobble?"
It's got paddle shifters on it too. If you're going to use it for something like the uh, the next gen car, if you don't have the shifter.
You know, this wheel would be a good companion with the CSL DD. You know, if you bought the CSL DD, get this CSL P1 to go with it.
I just bought one, so
Yeah,
yeah. That's the one that's what, 119, right?
yeah.
Yeah. I just bought one, so I'll have it in another day or so.
That's
Oh.
a great price.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't pass it up. Dwayne MacArthur uses one, so he recommended it, and I thought I'd give it a try. I don't necessarily use the paddle shifters on a round wheel, but I kind of want to see what a smaller diameter wheel will do. Um, uh, Based on their recommendation that it's a lighter weight, so the fidelity will really come through. I notice sometimes with my bigger wheel, like I said, I like to use 13.5 for ovals. Sometimes I lose force feedback a little bit, and I think I have it too turned up too much, and I'm clipping. So I have to turn my force feedback down just a hair to keep that from from going out, and then I can feel everything, and it's good. So I think a smaller, lighter wheel, you can have better feel overall, and it's just a really good price. So
What size is this wheel?
I want to say it's about 11 and a half inches. It's smaller, but I mean, if you're running oval, asphalt oval, that's perfectly fine. Um,
So is it like, what is that, 200, like
I
280
think
millimeters
280,
or
yeah,
something?
280 millimeters, something like that. 280 millimeters. So
Yeah, for ovals, you want the big round rim so because it gives you more finesse.
yeah, well, I mean, you can adjust your on. I think on the next gen, you can slow the speed of the steering down a bit. You don't necessarily want it really high, because if the car is really kind of sketchy, and it'll it'll get out from underneath you real quick on the next gen. And if you put, it's really easy to overcorrect. Now the other cars like the Arca car or Xfinity, in the trucks, you probably want a bigger wheel, just to kind of slow down your reaction, but add also finesse and precision.
Well, it was teased earlier, Mike, and now it's time. We have a SimuCube 2 Pro wheelbase review.
Yeah, how timely was this? Since Donnie just bought one, I just bought one. Well, the Sim Pit does their review finally on the CiviCube Pro 2, and he apologizes up front for not getting this video out sooner. He's had the base for quite some time, actually, but then his channel was on hiatus for a while right after they got it, and then they just never got around to doing the review until now. But uh, that isn't, for lack of the way he likes it. I mean, he said he uses it on almost every video and review that he does. He's mounted it on several different rigs and ran it, thousands of laps on it, so to speak. I don't think I've ever heard Sean Cole from the Sim Pit speak so highly about a piece of sim racing equipment as I did in this video.
Yeah, he had nothing but great things to say about the wheel. Actually got me a little excited thinking about it.
Yeah,
Well,
and he points out, I want to point out, like, the software is very easy to use. And the part about going and looking at profiles that other drivers have put up that you can just use with one click. I mean, you go to the list of public profiles. Hey, I'm going into a road race. I mean, you can quickly, within seconds, find a setup, a profile to with one click and get it loaded and just go racing. And so I did that. I jumped into a McLaren car at the Nord last night, and I clicked on I think it was a Dan Morad or David Morad or whatever his name is, who's a IMSA driver. Yeah, he has a few sets up there, and I really like that software part of it. I mean, with the Fanatec, I did have 5 different profiles I could have saved, and I would borrow David's settings and put them in there and different things. But this is really neat where I can just go out and pick, general public profile.
so I mean, we just had a story from Lawrence at Sim Coaches that this was kind of their go-to wheel as well, right? When they
Yep.
were setting up stuff. So it seems like it's kind of become the favorite among these guys who are really good sim racers and have tried a lot of different products too. That's always a good recommendation from somebody who's used tons of different products.
Yeah, some of the good he said was super powerful, very smooth, no cogging, great force feedback, no flex, no wiggle, no wobble. It's built to last. It's a very small base for 25 NM. It's wireless, but with semi-cube wheels only. Really good software, as I mentioned. You know, in my perspective too is, it doesn't come with the quick release. Like you had to buy the quick release separate. Okay. And so it doesn't even come with everything you need to use it. So keep that in mind. I bought two different quick releases. They were 60 each, and the wheel and the emergency stop button. And there was no way to mount the emergency stop. Donnie printed up some parts for me where I could mount it, as well as mount the wheel again, the spare wheel against the side of my rig. There's a little quick release thing he printed for that, and it works great. The quick release is rock solid. There's literally no flex at all.
So the way he was taking the wheel off, he didn't have the same quick release you have then, because he was like hammering on it to get the wheel off from the bottom.
Well, I did learn something by watching him do that. What he did is, it has a pin in it, and you have to pull the pin, and you have to get a little rough with it to get the pin in and out. But once you pull the pin out, what Sean Cole did is he turned the wheel upside down, and he was tapping the top of it so it would fall off of the release. What I was doing before that is I was lifting the wheel off of the release, or trying to, but it's kind of makes sense to turn it upside down and tap it and let gravity help you.
Now, did you get your wheel extension?
I did. I bought two 3-inch wheel extensions from Amazon. These are for real steering wheels, for real cars. I mounted them, and it's the perfect. That was what I was missing in the whole project. Was I ended up, getting it all done, and the steering wheel's too far away from me. But that 3-inch spacer, man, it was just perfect, and it really hit the sweet spot. So I really have it dialed in right now.
Yeah, they work good. That's what I've got on my wheel. I like the wheel right up close to me.
Now I'll digress a little bit on this topic. I ran winter NIS today, for the first time with the spacer, and I put real simple bolts and nuts on the to hold the spacer onto the quick release. Well, during the race, of course, with my force feedback turned up high, the bolts and nuts started coming loose, and the nuts started backing off. I actually turned off the force feedback for a good part of the race with the emergency button, because I was afraid the nuts were going to come off and the dang wheel was going to come off in my hands. So after the race, I went to Ace Hardware. I bought some different nuts with locking nuts, different bolts with locking nuts. And so tonight, I'm actually going to install that spacer with some different hardware that hopefully will hold.
Or some Loctite.
Well, I was thinking that too, but I want to be able to take it off at some point, probably.
All right, well, we're going to jump from one end to the other end. And here's my question for you, Brian. Do you think this rig could handle a SimuCube Pro 2?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about that, but it is definitely a one of a kind rig. So, it's a motion rig that this gentleman built, um, completely custom. Looks like it was made with a like a car, like a real car seat, and just square stock. It looks like square stock. And, he's got some actuators built into it. That go to the back of the upper part of his headrest. Um, and yeah, and must have some kind of universal joint as a center pivot point underneath the seat. So as he's racing, the seat's moving forward, backwards, side to side as he's racing. Um, the wheel is completely custom. I've never seen anything like that for a custom for a racing wheel. It's definitely not something you would buy. So it's not the prettiest thing in the world, obviously, but the ingenuity behind it, and obviously it was all self-made. So really, really, impressed with his ability to create this. At least, it's not gonna, you're not gonna see it on the front page of any magazines or anything like that. But it just goes to show you some of the ingenuity that this guy was able to create with this to do it. Now, he obviously needs a little help with his computer. It's a laptop, and it's about 8 feet from where he's sitting, so it's really hard to see the screen. But
That field of view.
yeah, it's tunnel vision at the best. But other than that, I can't help but be impressed with what he built.
The steering wheel base is amazing to me. And by the way, if you put my SimiCube base on that thing, it'd fold it up like a tin can in one swoop. But the base he's got, I mean, he's got like a steering shaft on a wheel, and the shaft is run through. It looks like three other or four other pieces of metal. It doesn't look like there's any resistance or anything, but he obviously has sensors of some kind in there, that will sense the steering wheel going left and right, obviously. Freaking cool. Everything completely homemade. And you can't tell where it is. It looks like it might be Thailand or, Southeast Asia country, something like that.
Yeah, someplace warm because it's all outside for sure. A lot of vegetation, so yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm really impressed with people who, you know, might not have the ability to buy, a $8,000 motion system to just make one on their own. It's not easy to do. You got to know what you're doing and figure stuff out.
All
And
right, we're
next,
jumping to results.
we are going to get the results. Okay, cool. So can we hit one more? I really want to talk about
Yeah,
this one. All right, so
sure.
we've got injuries. Anyone? Have y'all looked at this one? It's after the Mosa on the script.
Oh yeah, this is quite
Yeah,
a rig.
I watched it.
Um, y- uh, that's first of all the throw was huge, but it's just the speed and the power behind it. I think it's about the biggest we've seen.
Yeah, it lifts the front end off when he's moving around, like it's like coming off the ground because the movements are so fast and so violent that it starts actually popping off the ground. It's crazy.
Those arms extend out of the actuators like 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah, and you're probably 6, 8 feet in the air when this thing is fully extended. It's crazy.
Well,
This is more flight sim more than racing, right?
He's got a wheel on it, not a flight controls.
what's interesting is I did a that's the next article down. We'll probably do it next week, but about the OpenXR toolkit, and there's a guy that has developed motion compensation for VR and a motion rig for OpenXR. And so I was looking around, and this guy was testing the motion compensation using this rig, which I thought was really interesting when I saw it in the video this morning when I was looking at the articles.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It's nice that the ice planet Hoth has a place for people to go and set up their rig.
This might be a blast in the off-road trucks, huh?
Oh
Yes.
Yeah,
my!
that would
Every
be
one of those
good.
jumps or a rally car.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, I wanted to get that one out of the way. Now we can jump results. NASCAR iRacing Series wrapping up the season. Friday night open. Only one result listed. It looks like Tony Rochette. Mike, tell us about it.
Tony Rochette, P3. He said, statistically, Phoenix is one of my worst tracks as I'm horrible at running. That stupid dog leg, and I love dogs and birds. Just stayed out of trouble, had a good car on a long run. Late in the race, had green flag stops where I was hanging out in third, right behind the leader, and bam, caution came out, and Lucky dogged it. See, love dogs. Coming to the green, a car was laying way back and not being very nice and tried to catch me on the black flag side, and being smarter than the average bear, I stayed behind him till the green. I think that pissed him off. So for the last 30 laps, and him being 3 laps down was blocking the hell out of me till the end. But hey, it's okay. I got my best Phoenix finish ever, 103 championship points, which should put me in 10th for Division 4 and 170th ish overall. P3.
Does
I
he
ran.
does he
Yeah, go ahead.
stream?
No.
Ah, dang. I wish he would. I bet that bird's got a great vocabulary by now.
All right.
Yeah, and I just did misread that it was only him because it just paged down on us, right? So, Mike, you ran with a P5.
P5. This was after winning earlier in the week. I got a P5 on Friday. I had good speed. I actually led some laps. I tried to do some off strategy from the leaders on the tires. I didn't quite pick the right one to get me to the front at the right time, but it was still a good run. David, P2.
Yeah, I was going for the repeat and could have had it, but the leader just had better long run pace than me. Uh, he stayed in front, and we both just pulled away from everybody else there for for that last run. So there you go, P2.
All right. And then Sunday Open, P5.
Yep, back up and top split on this one. So I was like, oh, there goes my top tens and fives and blah blah blah. But I ran sixth to eighth most of the race. And Phoenix has never been a great track for me either. So I was kind of surprised. Um, there was a disreputable driver that a lot of us have problems with. He's been on the list a few times. He laid back over two car links and jumped the restart. And yes, the protest was successful. He probably just got a warning, but at least it was legit. So I saw what he did, and I squeezed him and got turned, and it was about 90 seconds of damage. So I go ahead and take the wave around. Um, because the pace car had also gotten by me. So I'm back there on old tires with a beat up car. I got a black flag for passing on the inside as well because I was behind all of the back markers who just didn't go, I guess, at the beginning, and I went down to the dog leg and passed somebody. But another caution happens. I immediately go in. A caution happens, and I'm able to get out before the pace car comes around and stayed on the lead lap. I drove, and then we had one more run. I didn't really get any of the damage fixed, but drove back from 22nd to fifth, and it worked out a little bit in my favor because I had 15 lap fresher tires. And that
Good.
this other stuff that I wrote in, I don't remember. So
All right. P5
yeah,
though,
I'll just
right?
leave that out. Yeah.
All right, Steve, you ran P16.
Yeah, I started in the back and I got up to sixth place and ended up I got rear-ended once and got 4X, and I got another, I don't know, somebody slammed me in the door. I got another 4X, and then I ended up getting into a bad wreck in sixth place, and I had like 8.5 minutes of repairs. I had the meatball, so I went in and got that fixed. I came out 27th and just kept racing. Ended up 16th, and anyways, I didn't lose any safety rating, and I only lost 10 I rating, so that was okay.
And wow, you ran Sunday fixed? Wow, P6.
Yeah, I started 20th and just kind of hung in there. We had some cautions. I missed a bunch of wrecks, and anyways, it was a good race. I think I gained like 84 points or something. So I'm just below 2,000 right now.
All right, keep it going.
So
Then
we
we
didn't
have
we didn't
we
mention
have uh
mention our finish positions, did we? Do we want to talk about where we finished in our divisions before we go on?
oh, you're right. So I finished in Division 2 25th. I made my goal. I made the front page.
And that was what are you, Division Two?
2. Yeah.
Cool. Not as not didn't finish as high as I did last year. It was pretty frustrating season actually, but still 14th in Division One. So it's still on that front page and up higher than I actually thought I was gonna be the way the season was going.
That's a good job,
Well
guys.
done.
Really good.
Well, it's a hard season. Try to get points every week, so you take advantage of those drops for your worst races and see where it shook out. And that's where I landed this year. I had a really bad beginning of the season, if y'all remember. I just had some horrible, horrible weeks, and so I expected not to run well, but I think I rallied at the end of the season as best I could.
I definitely had that slump. Brian talked about it last week where I dropped from 4K down to 32, and I'm right on the edge of 4K again in the last 3 weeks. That's a crazy swing, though. 800 I rating in 2 to 3 weeks,
Yeah, it is.
and that's just A opens and NIS. I don't go anywhere else to farm or anything.
All right, let's move on to winter NIS. Daytona, Wednesday Open. Nobody on our team ran. I think we all forgot about it. I did. But Thursday Open, I ran this morning. Um, it was top split. Started 10th, got to 4th pretty quick. Had a caution on lap 7, stopped for fuel only, then faded pretty hard back to around 15th. Um, and then there was another caution. I'm trying to remember what I wrote here. Some of my stuff is missing. But basically, I got involved in the big one. I had 5 minutes damage. Um, I got most of that fixed. I think I got it down to about 2 minutes damage over several other cautions. And then I got involved in another incident, which knocked it back up to 6 minutes optional. And so I was basically the last car on the lead lap. I was like 19th. And then I just kind of brought it home. I think I finished 18th out of 26. So it wasn't a great day. I just got to avoid the wreck. I'm going to run tomorrow night for sure. Try to get a better result.
Hey, well, Mike Watts is here. I know Mike had a great run in both the Xfinity Series and also at OBRL, and also I think he made the Final Four there, and also in the Cup Series. How'd you end up, Mike, in the finals?
Um, in the Xfinity race, I did okay. I had a self spin coming out of the pits on cold tires, but I managed to finish third in the race and third overall in the Xfinity Series championship. And then we went and ran the Cup race at Phoenix, and that didn't go well at all. I think I spun like 3 times in that next gen car. It was just on old tires. It was just wicked loose. We're on fixed setups there, so I think there was 2 times I just snapped loose in the dog leg heading into turn one, and it's what can you do? I mean, I think in the very end, we ended up with a green white checker at the very end, and I DQ'd for incident points. But I mean, it was fun, and I love the car on new tires. But man, after 20 laps, that car will just snap loose on you. And as you were talking earlier, Steve, about the car just kind of skating, that's what it felt like after 25, 30 laps on those tires. The next gen car just kind of skates.
Did you get a paycheck?
Yeah. Yeah. Uh Dwayne put some money towards um the winnings. I don't remember what the top spot paid out, but I got 220 Canadian. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. But I mainly do it for the um just for the competitiveness and stuff like that. So that kind of paid for the wheel, I guess, the new Fanatec wheel. So
Yeah, I think all that was from Metro Ford, all the payout money.
yeah.
Oh, leagues that pay out. That's cool.
Yeah, I paid
All
out
right.
over $3,000 for just the Cup Series.
Yeah.
Holy
So I
moly.
ended up third in that championship as well. So yeah, it was fun. The 40-week season is I like that because of the challenge. It's just 40 weeks is like what the guys do in real life. We don't of course run the 100% race, but just I love the challenge of the 40-week season, and it can get stressful there in the end when you're trying to make the playoffs. So, but I love it. Yeah.
All right. Well done. Other racing official, Donnie Spiker, USF 2000, Gateway Oval. pole position but DQ'd. Second race, qualified third, finished P2. Now, I was going to run this with Donnie, but there were never enough participants when I went to go run it. There were like 3 or 4 cars registered, and I'm like, yeah, I need probably 12 or more to enjoy myself. I did run some hosted 87s and the rough Porsche at Talladega. It got wrecked out. Then Gen 5 at Talladega, again, wrecked out. I did a lot of testing this week after installing the new wheel at the Nordschleife F2000, the McLaren. I ran some Mount Washington rally car, the VW Beetle at Mount Washington. Ran some 87 at Daytona. Just trying to dial in the settings and making sure I got the right distance between the seat and the pedals and the wheel, and it all is feeling pretty good. I also need to adjust the angles of the triples. I remeasured the distance from my eyeball to the screen. I'm a bit closer. That means I'm going from 45 degrees to 53 degrees. Now I need to find a protractor. All right, with that, we'll jump to final thoughts. Brian McCubbin.
So not a whole lot went on last week. Obviously, NIS has done wrap up, but this Sunday night starts the first OBRL Sunday night Metro Ford Cup races. So I'm going to be hitting that, and Mike, I might see you there if you're running.
Yeah, I might pop into there.
All right. David Hall, final thoughts.
In a weird way, it's kind of relaxing to have the season over for a little bit, but at the same time, I'm like, what do I do? I've been running a little bit of road racing. Um, I know I'm looking forward to our invitational winter series kicking off, though unfortunately I have to miss Monday because I'm a saxophone judge for Jazz All Region. So I'm gonna start behind the 8 ball right off the bat with that series. I hope they still have drop weeks built in. Other than that, just it's time to buckle down for the winter.
Yeah, looking forward to Winter League starting on Monday. We have some teammates joining us in there for the first time as well. Steve, I think you're coming. Donnie, I don't know who else. Hopefully Adam will be there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That'd be fun.
Boo.
Greg, you'll be there. Greg Hectus, what are your final thoughts?
Just looking forward to getting back to being full time on the show starting next week. I'm not racing the GT series anymore afterwards, so I can focus on helping you guys out with the show and hopefully get some racing done in the off season. I'm really looking forward to the winter series and getting that done with a lot of our teammates racing with them all. It'll be fun to have everybody in the same race together. It's not very often that we get a lot in. And Mike, me and you, the last couple weeks when we've been racing in the NIS series, we've been in the same races, so it's kind of been nice. But yeah, it'll be good to race the winter series and hopefully race a bunch more road stuff in the winter time here as well.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see who shows up for Winter League. Are we going to see the iRacing staff heavily populate the room like usual, or perhaps the Elliott Sadler esports guys like Jason Maines? I mean, he was really strong last year. Who happens to be Garrett Main's father, by the way, but he's just as fast. And looking forward to racing with those guys. Very competitive.
Hey Mike, one of the things I was thinking about with some of these guys that left um, the Coca Cola series, I wonder if you see them out racing some of these things a little bit more too.
Yeah, you very well might. All right, Steve Thompson, final thoughts.
Yeah, I was so I started having some issues with my HPG2 and I was having tracking issues. I I was all of a sudden I'd end up upside down and stuff. So I bought a new cable and that fixed the issues. And so while I was doing that, I started messing with the OpenXR toolkit. And anyways, I've got the links here. I don't know if these will be published for this week or if we can go to it next week. But anyways, I used the OpenXR toolkit, and I used another guy's settings that was in here, Paul Gallen, and oh my God, the graphics are 1,000 times better than anything I've used for OpenVR or their FOV or whatever, FFR or whatever it's called over there. And I've been able to set all my settings to the best resolution, and it just cleared everything up. I can't be happier with it. So if anybody gets a chance, um, there's a couple articles in the forums for OpenXR Toolkit, so you might try them. And I can't believe how much headroom I still have to even open up some other things. So, and the other thing I wanted to do was just thank Patrick Milligan at emetro4.com for sponsoring the iRacers Lounge. So go to emetro4.com and get you a car.
That's right. Yeah, we're so happy to have off-season sponsorship, which really starts this week with Sim Coaches obviously returning as our premier sponsor, and then obviously Metro Ford joining in on our hardware section. We're happy to have both of those companies with us.
Steve, I'm just gonna flip you upside down in the window for the stream so you can feel comfortable.
Oh, perfect.
Thanks.
All right, Mike Watts, your final thoughts.
Oh, I've just enjoyed being here and listening to you guys. I learned some cool new things about software available and some reviews on rigs and wheels and some Black Friday deals. So I'm kind of looking forward to that now, and I'm enjoying the off season. I'm not going to race as much because I need to spend time with the family. You know, doing a 40-week season does kind of take it out of you. But yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of running some races here and there and work on my racecraft. Always trying to improve that, and I'll be listening to you guys in the future. Yeah, I enjoy all the information you guys put out.
And thanks, Mike, for coming on the show and getting to know you a little bit. You're welcome back anytime.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
And he's a really good painter too. He paints all my cars.
Yeah, yeah. Don't forget to check out the trading paints. Magic Mike over there. All right. My final thoughts. Excitement. You know, this project is finishing up with the wheelbase change. I can't be happier. I mean, a little hiccup with the spacer. I wasn't sure what I would need if it was going to be the same or not, but the spacer worked out well. I'll get it finished up tonight. Um, I was a little concerned about, do I have everything lined up correctly? Because I always felt the wheelbase had a slight angle to it, like I didn't have it perfectly centered down the center of my rig. Well, I had my son come over today and eyeball it for me. And I put him down in the rig and I said, "Look, is this thing centered or not?" And he said, "Dad, it's perfectly centered. You're seeing things." Well, I have a cataract in one eye, and maybe that's throwing me off a little bit. But it was good to hear him validate I have actually put this thing together right and it's lined up correctly. So next step, hey, let's go racing. We'll see you on the track later. Right, title ideas.
Lost my
Uh,
nuts.